Let's make some homemade pumpkin pie today with fresh sugar pumpkins as we get ready to put up our tree and start celebrating Christmas. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Reflecting Redemption YouTube channel. I'm Acacia. It's so good to see you today for another day of Vlogmas. We have some exciting stuff planned for today. We are making all kinds of things, but what we're going to show you is from scratch pumpkin pie just because it's wonderful. So just a little info on what's been happening at our house. Really? You want to come here? Come on. Somebody had a birthday, didn't you? Cheese. Oh, our camera's off. We should take a picture of us taking a video. Do you think? Let's see. Camera. Here we go. Ready? Cheese. So we got these a little bit ago. These cute little sugar pumpkins, we found them at the pumpkin patch we went to. I've got 2 of them. I'm gonna make puree, and then I'm gonna make a pumpkin pie and freeze the rest of the puree so that we can use it another day. I've also got my Christmas apron on that I got at Walmart, and I'm pretty giddy about it. So we're excited to get into pumpkin pie, but before we do that, we're gonna have to blitz this house. Like, there's a lot that has to happen before pie can happen. Okay, so we're going to start by opening up these little sugar pumpkins and getting all of the seeds and the insides out of them. Then I'm going to cut them into pieces and put them on a sheet tray that's been lined so that they can roast in the oven. I roasted these in anywhere between 350 and 400 degrees is probably safe. I thought that Eli would really enjoy this process of helping me scoop everything out, but he kindly informed me that we had just done this at his aunt's house just a night or 2 before and carved pumpkins on his birthday, and he was pretty much out for the count. So I gave him some instructions to stay away from my knife, and he just took some pictures of the whole event. But he was not even about to help me. He was not interested in getting into the pumpkin guts again. But I really like to work with fresh sugar pumpkins. I hadn't tried this until last year when I grew my own. My pumpkin patch did not work out this year, but we did go to a local pumpkin patch and they had a great year. So we just bought a couple of sugar pumpkins off of them to puree. It is a longer process, but it's really worthwhile. I like seeing the process and what all it takes to make something that doesn't just come straight out of a can. Now, don't get me wrong, I use canned pumpkin puree pretty frequently for pumpkin recipes, but this was a super fun way to just kind of get to the very scratch ingredients of where pumpkin pie originates with that little sugar pumpkin and show Eli the process. So we're going to get these things scooped out in the oven roasting, and then we're going to puree it in the food processor. Okay, pumpkins are in the oven, roasting, and it's time to get a few more things done. So I kept checking my pumpkins over the course of a couple of hours and just watched and kind of poked at them to see when they were starting to get tender. And finally, after a few hours, they were tender enough, so I pulled them out, and I'm just using a paring knife to cut the skin away from the flesh. So just show a little bit of this. I'm in the office because Eli's taking his nap, but I just pureed until it was silky smooth. It took a while. And now it's a new day. We had to put that on the back burner, but today I'm back to do pie crust. So I have an all butter pie crust recipe that I found on Pinterest. It has unbleached all-purpose flour, 2 sticks of butter, half a cup of water, 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'll link it below because I might have forgotten something, but I'm just going to add everything to the stand mixer and let it all combine. I like to let the stand mixer do the hard work of mixing in the butter, and then I just check it to make sure there are no big lumps, and if there are bigger lumps of butter, I just go in with my finger and kind of break it apart with clean hands. I've had a glass of ice water sitting over here beside of me getting really nice and cold, and now I'm just going to strain the ice out and get the water. I think you need half a cup, but like I said, check the recipe that's from Pinterest in the description box below for all the exact measurements. So just slowly pour that in and let it combine. And now for my favorite part of all, which is kneading dough and working with it. I just think there's really nothing quite like it. It is satisfying just to work with dough. I really like it. I'm going to put the dough in the fridge to rest for a little while and wrap it in plastic wrap, and I'll go ahead and use this time to make the filling for my pie. So what I do is I use the recipe on the back of the Libby's pumpkin puree can. You can find that on Pinterest as well. I'll link it. I've always used it, but before I start with that, I'm going to make some homemade whipped cream. I just put a tablespoon of sugar and about a cup to 2 cups of heavy cream in the stand mixer, just depending on how much you want, and let that whip with the whisk attachment. And this is going to be cinnamon whipped cream, which just means at the end I'm going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon in to give it that little extra flair. But of course, you do not have to put cinnamon in, and you can just buy the pre-made whipped cream. I happen to have some heavy cream, and I thought this would be a nice special touch. I've got stiff peaks that have formed, and it's tasting really good, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in a bowl and let it chill in the fridge. And now I'm going to make my filling. So as I was saying, I follow the recipe on the Libby's pumpkin puree can. I have always used that recipe, and I know there's others out there. So you can feel free to use whatever you like with your fresh pumpkin puree, but that's the one that I use. But I do make a few adjustments on my spices. I just use a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice because it doesn't change the texture. Also, I just need to say that as far as baking goes, I enjoy baking, but I am not the most accurate cook, as in I do not level and scrape and fuss over a lot of those sorts of things, which is why I'm not great at cakes. But pies are pretty forgiving, so I can handle them. But I'm going to put all of the ingredients into the stand mixer, and you get a really loose batter that goes into your pie crust, but it sets up really nicely, and it also has a really creamy texture when it's all baked and done. My mix is all done, so now I'm going to butter my pie dish and go ahead and get my pie crust rolled out. I do also want to say that I know there's a way to stop pie crust from shrinking, but I have not had the time to learn that yet, and hopefully I will learn that soon. So my pie crust does shrink up a bit, but I'm okay with it. It was okay. It still turned out pretty, but I know you can get a much more Pinterest worthy pie crust. I just haven't figured that out yet, but hopefully soon I can master that. And this is just for my little family, so it doesn't have to be taken anywhere. So I was comfortable without the most aesthetic pie crust in the world, but it tasted so yummy. So the recipe instructions are very specific for the times and the heat levels that you have to use, so make sure you pay attention to that and tint your pie crust if you're afraid it will burn. And here is my finished product, and like I said, it is a little uneven because of some shrinking, but I'm okay with it. But if you have any suggestions, leave me a comment down below of how I can get my pie crust to stop shrinking, because I don't like it. Okay, I'm going to add some of the cinnamon whipped cream to the top, and it is time to go enjoy some pie with my family. I hope you enjoyed that video on how to make homemade pumpkin pie from scratch with a real sugar pumpkin. I have my pie right here, and we have just put up the Christmas tree and some of the stuff on the mantle, so we've got to start. It's early November still, so we are enjoying that. So I'm gonna go sit down on the couch and enjoy my pumpkin pie, and I will see you again next time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you soon. Bye. What do you think? Good work. So pretty.